Hey, good afternoon, folks. This is Shadow Stars once again bringing you another video. We're going to be doing another quick update, or rather than quick update, at least an update in the situation to the ticker AMC. Today, I'm going to be covering a lot of the 13Fs that were recently filed for quarter 2 of 2021, and show you a lot of the changes that occurred between Q1 2021 to Q2 2021. A lot of videos have been going out showing a lot of the big players, a lot of the big institutions, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Susquehanna, Invesco, and so forth. I mean, a lot of big players in the game, but I'm going to be doing a quick summary of those filings. So my method in which I gather this information, I gather it as direct of a source that I can. So I use the SEC website, the SEC Edgar online database search. So what I do is I search for AMC. I'm using AMC's CUSIP. So for those who don't know what CUSIP is, CUSIP is the Committee on Uniform Securities Identification Procedures number, a unique 9-character identification number assigned to all stocks and registered bonds in the US and Canada. It's used to create a concrete distinction between securities that are traded on public markets. So this is unique to AMC 00165C104. So I'm going to be searching for filings of the 13Fs between the dates of July 1st to today, August the 17th. The reason why I start July 1st is obviously Q2 ends June 30th, so the following day would be July 1st. So if you don't trust me, June 30th, the following day, July 1st. July 1st. And we go to sorry. August the 17th. So we found 336 search results. The one caveat in regards to searching for this is that you need to be careful. Once again, like a lot of my videos, I constantly go over when I search for 13Fs. Don't confuse the file date with the reporting date. And even when you pull up reporting dates here, sometimes you can get not the most recent quarter. For example, so this is reported or filed on the 13th, reporting for Q2, so ends on June 30th. But you'll occasionally have ones, for example, look at right here, Shea Capital LLC. They filed this on the 13th, but hey, they're reporting for March 31st, Q1. So there's a couple of these mixed in, so you kind of have to sort them out. And I already did that for you guys, and I have an Excel sheet. So this Excel sheet, I have all the 13Fs. So I got the file date, the reporting date, what's the group, the entity, how many shares, calls, puts, and then I compare that to their previous Q1 filings of how many shares, calls, puts, and then just do some couple easy formulas, see how many shares changed, how many calls changed, how many puts changed, and I have a total of 329 13Fs relevant for Q2. So this total, we have 332 total entities that filed 13Fs that have some sort of stake in AMC, whether that's shares, calls, or puts. The combined number of shares between all three, sorry, let me repeat that. Let me start that over. The number of shares that all 329 institutions, if you combine them all together, how many shares they have? 127,941, 362. How many calls? 54,999,999 997,247. Jeez Louise, my bad, folks. How many puts? 73,271,138 puts. Compare that to Q1, 112,965,810 previous calls, 35,480,827 previous puts, 28,759,931. So what's the overall change between Q1 from Q1 to Q2? Well, with just these institutions in mind, there's a net gain of 14,975,552 shares, 19,516,420 calls, 44,511,207 puts. So going from April to June, these were added. April 1st to June 30th. So that's interpret that how you will. But pick up, if you're a bull, you'd see the number of almost 15 million shares. Take that as a very bullish indicator, along with the fact that 19.5 million calls were added. On the bear side, you would consider, hey, look at how many puts were added overall. 44.5 million puts, as opposed to 19.5 million calls. And you'll see a lot of the big institutions, they've done a little bit of hedging themselves. But I'm going to highlight some of the big movers. So to do that, let's easily do some quick sorts. So to highlight Vanguard Group, they're one of the big hitters. We actually know they hold the most shares of AMC. They, as of their Q2 report, 44.4 million shares. Going from Q1 to Q2, they added almost 7 million shares, 6,992,714. Next largest increase in shares, this is strictly shares, BlackRock adding 3.1 million, bringing up their total up to 30.48 million. State Street Corp added 1.67 mil, bringing their total up to 8.2 mil. Simplex Trading popped out of nowhere. They added almost 1.5 million, 1.48 mil shares to bring their total shares up to 1.5. Geode Capital 1.45, bringing it up to 7.67. So you got, let's say the top 10 institutes with shares. Top 10 comes out to, there we go. You got number 1 Vanguard, BlackRock. Actually, nope. Sorry, that's incorrect. This is just based on number of shares added. So top 10 institutions that added shares this quarter from going from Q1 to Q2: Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street Corp, Simplex Trading, Geode Capital, DE Shaw & Co., Renaissance Technologies, Group 1 Trading, HBK Investment, and Swiss National Bank. We want to sort this now to the top 10 institutions with the most shares of AMC. Still got Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street Corp, Geode Capital, Northern Trust, Charles Schwab, Nuveen Asset Management, Renaissance Technologies, Bank of New York Mellon Corp, and Simplex Trading. Now let's look on the flip side. What are the big movers to the downside? We got Invesco. They shed little over 6 million shares. Susquehanna, once again, I'll apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciations, shedding little more than 3.8 million shares. Sculptor Capital, 613,000. Our favorite boy, Kenny G and Citadel Advisors, shedding almost 600,000 shares, 588,000. Wells Fargo is next, 343,000. And on and on. But those are for the big shares added and big shares added and sold. So let's look at calls. Who added the most calls? Susquehanna added 6.2 million calls. Jane Street added 4.4 mil. Simplex Trading 4.3 mil. Wolverine Trading 2 mil. Citadel also added 1.85. Let's make sure. Yep, 1.85 mil. Other side, who ditched the most calls? 683 Capital Management sold 440,000 calls. 356,000 calls for Group 1 trading. Get much smaller numbers. Now let's look at number of puts. Who added the most puts? Simplex Trading added 14, almost 0.2 million puts. 683 Capital, 6.5 million puts. Anchorage Capital, 4 million. Jane Street, almost 4 mil, 3.85. Susquehanna, 3.56 mil. Nomura, remember, if you kept up with the news, Nomura Holdings, they were also, I believe, affected by the one of the hedge funds that got screwed over, if I recall correctly. They had a lot of their assets tied up. Citadel Advisors, 2.7. Flipside, who sold a lot of their puts. UBS, 1.18. White Box Advisors, 1 mil. D.E. Shaw, 379,000. So overall, take that how you will, but this is the information that I provide to you folks. So all in all, once again, going over the numbers again for you folks. Total of 329 institutions. Remember, this is not, I wouldn't say a full complete picture. I still need to double check and reference Q1 filings, because there's institutions, I'm sure, that had AMC in Q1 and obviously chose not to have any in Q2. Then I'd have to reference that with my Q2 data pools. So I'll update as I go, but based strictly on just Q2 data pools and using these same institutions and going back one quarter, we know how many shares that these institutions have. Almost 128 million, almost 55 million calls, 73.2 million puts. And we know that was an increase of about 15 million shares, about 19.5 million calls, and 44.5 million puts. So definitely some big movements between a lot of the traders, a lot of the groups. So something to keep your eye on. And remember that these are all reporting for Q2. So it's as of June 30th. So we've had more than almost a month and a half past now. So positions once again could have greatly changed. But if we do see large movements in the stock price or large volumes, then we can kind of make a possible educated guess that perhaps some of these big movers might have made a move. They might have added, they might have sold. And to wrap up this video, this is one thing I did want to share in regards to 13F filings. And something that does bug me in regards to these. So for example, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to change the date here. I'm going to pull up a 13F filing. Let's narrow this down to just today. So these are just 13F filings for AMC that were filed today, August 17th, 2021. So we have 4 results. Luxor Capital, Booth Bay Fund, Harbor Investments, and Vesco. Now, if you pay attention to the form and file, we have two amendments here. So, for example, we have this 13F amendment by Harbor Investments. But look at what period they're reporting for. They're reporting for Q1, March 31st. So let's take a look at their filing. I'm going to look at all their company filings. So Harbor Investments, let's filter results just for 13Fs. So their initial 13F for Q1, they filed this back on May 12th. Now, it's been several months since Q1 passed, obviously, since March 31st. And almost 2 months, a little over a month and a half, since Q2 has passed at June 30th. So we already have their Q1 filing, their Q2 filing. And now they're submitting an amendment for their Q1 filing on the 17th. Something like this kind of annoys me because, as any sort of retail trader, the information that we get is always delayed. We're never getting up-to-date information per se. So anyone who has information ahead of this that can track their movement has better knowledge to make more educated and better decisions, make better trades, execute better. And having this type of late amendment doesn't help us. So if you base their movement, so on May 12th, they filed it. You looked at their filing. So let's open up their filing. Let me close all these. Let's look at their 13F. Let's search for AMC. Amcor. Nope. So let's search based on, just in case, COSIP number. No, they had no AMC, right? Double check. Let's go back. This was for their Q1 filing. Their Q1 filing. Oops. No search results. They had no AMC according to their 13F filing for Q1. Q2, we know that, hey, 10,205 shares of AMC Entertainment. But even so, let's say you made moves based on their filing on May 12th. Well, guess what? They just filed an amendment 2 months later. And let's take a look at this filing. So this is filed today, August 17th, for Q1, March 31st. Their amended 13F. What do you know? They have AMC, 3,696 shares. They reported 0 back on May 12th. But now they're saying that, oh, sorry, August 17th, 2 months later, that, oh, actually back on March 31st, we actually had 3,696 shares. Stuff like this, I think, this is my own personal opinion, that this needs to be fixed. And if there's some sort of malicious intent behind it, there needs to be fines. We need to ensure that, hey, we get good data. We're limited as a retail trader of the information that we can gather. So much of the information we get is tainted when we go to different sources. We are not on the same level playing field as these big hedge funds or other institutions. And especially if these folks, if they give us bogus information, they don't file it for a while. 3 months down the line. From May, June, July, now August. 3 months have passed. And now they're correcting their information for their position back at the end of March. I think it's ridiculous. But nonetheless, that was my little rant. But the main gist of today's video was covering over the tons of 13Fs that were filed for AMC for Q2 and the current situation. And as always, I'll constantly be searching to make sure that, hey, maybe there are some amendments, maybe there are some issues with some of the reporting. And as usual, a lot of the smaller quick updates, you can catch me on my Twitter. It's my Twitter handle is at ShadowStars13. And you can find me on my one of the Discords I am a big part of, called True Stock Networks. It's a free Discord channel. If you're interested, feel free to send me a message. I shared this DD with that group for free on a fairly consistent basis, and there's several other folks who do research and analysis in DD just like I do, not only for AMC but for different stocks. And the whole purpose of that Discord is for the free flowing information. We don't want to be biased in our research. We want to make sure that we have objective debate on both sides. And we feel that stuff like this shouldn't be monetized. Basically, this is information that's out for the public, for you and me, for regular retail investors to get. And to charge that sometimes may not be great. If you're providing something else on top of that, some further analysis, that might be a different story. But at least to present the step of the data, we feel like perhaps that shouldn't be monetized. Some of these big YouTubers that are charging whatever, they focus on super chats, or they hide behind paywalls in their Discords and so forth. I don't think that's right, especially if they're not the ones doing their DD. I know some of the bigger YouTubers. I won't expose them here, but I know they've paid other folks to do the DD, and that they would present it as if they did their own DD, which is another ridiculous thing. But I don't want to get stuck in the drama. I want to talk about the facts, the data that we can get as close to the regular data source. So stuff like the SEC, the Edgar, the 13F filings, the import filings. I really dig into that. Until then, take care, folks. Shadowstar signing out. Peace.